There we go. Now we're being recorded. All right. So we're going to be looking at a couple different things today. The big one is going to be the SOP reviews. This is the first time that we've done one of these. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look at the scenarios that I sent out earlier this week. Yes?
Yes.
And then the brief little bit of the quiz that I sent out for that paired up with that article that we read, the Leadership That Gets Results by Daniel Goleman. Did anyone not take the quiz? All right. Let's start there. Because once I get into the SOP stuff, I kind of just want to stay in it. What did you think of the quiz? Now that you have a good idea on how you rated on that scale, and then applying that over to what Goleman said in that article that that I sent out to accompany it.
Well, I must say I was proud of myself. This is Sandy. I need work in the coercive part, so I was proud of myself because I don't want to be coercive. Been there, done that. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't want to be a bully. Oh.
Which ones did you score high in?
Let's see. I wrote it down. Yeah,
okay.
I wrote it down. So I needed work in coercive and visionary? So pace setter, affiliative, democratic, and coaching, I was okay in.
How did you, did that seem to be quite right? I mean, as far as how you interpret yourself as far as worker or leader?
I think so. Yeah.
What about somebody else out there? Who scored well on the course?
I had to leave for a patient, so what are we doing?
Oh, you're okay. We're going over the quiz that I sent out.
Okay.
Do you remember what you got on the quiz, or did you have time to take it?
The one where it's pace setter, visionary, all of that?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it said I have 5 fairly well-developed leadership styles and 1 to work on, and that was the coercive.
Well, see, she did good too.
Did anybody else have to work on coercive?
Mine was that one as well.
Mine's saying that it was well developed.
See, nobody likes the bully. Nobody wants to be a bully. Do they? I mean, really? Lisa, is she out there?
No, she's out today.
Oh, okay. See, Lisa would be.
That's one thing that I found kind of interesting about this study, I guess, that was done, was although the effects can potentially be negative, that having the coercive style as something to resort to was seen as something good.
Right, all wrapped in together, yeah. I mean,
right.
You need a little bit of everything. I get that. I'm just kind of...
No. I'm wondering why.
Why? So Anthony, if it says that it's well developed, does that mean you're stronger than that? Well, it says fairly well developed on one style, and the other 5 are just well developed. So they're saying I'm stronger on the fairly well developed one.
Yeah.
No, on the well developed, you're strongest. The fairly is like the middle, and then the need work on is the lower.
Oh, got it.
Which one were you almost perfect at but weren't?
You're talking about the well-developed ones? Or
the one that you had all by itself.
Oh, by itself was the coercive.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
because when I was reading through this, I couldn't quite understand why would you want to use vinegar to get somebody to do something your way when you could use honey?
Yeah. Right.
And that's what I kind of kept coming across. So, in your
Sometimes
experience,
you use honey too much, you need to use vinegar.
Never.
Also, this was back in 2000, I believe, was when that study was done, right?
Yeah.
So it could be that, times have changed a little bit with all the bullying and the public outcry for bullies to stop. And
there's a strictness that you can have in the tone of your voice and in written words even. But there can be bullying these days. Let me tell you, I know.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, to be fair, I think there's a difference between bullying and being coercive.
Oh,
so I don't want to dive too far off on that end because, granted, you can say you can play off being a bully as being coercive, but I don't think that's what Gold was really going for in this one. I'm trying to figure out that in our profession, when would it be good for us to try and work on a coercive style of communication with a PCC?
Well, if they're just being super stubborn, and
okay.
And I a few years ago, was in a position to travel with an RD to when Connect was acquiring stores, and then going in, and I went with the RD and trained and doing all the new paperwork and stuff. And this was a time where I actually went and worked with them on insurance and changing over stuff. And there was a woman I had to work with, and she was a little older and very busy office, and this woman just wasn't going to listen to anything that I had to say. And it was to the point where she was telling me, well, no, we do it this way. And she actually closed a book and put it away so I couldn't continue to show her that it needs to be done this way now. And my boss actually had to step in and be very firm with her. And do you know, she still would go back, and he had to continue to work with her weeks later to finally get her. She just was having none of me. And she literally would put her papers away and turn her back on me and would go back doing her other business and answering the phone and totally ignoring me. She was having no changes.
Oh.
So, what was I going to do? Just poke her on the back? In that position, what was I going to do? She literally turned her back on me. She was not going to make that change. I sat there with my mouth open. And my boss had already warned me, actually, that she was going to be a pill to change. She was going to be a toughie. And he, actually, as a regional director, had to work with her personally. There was nothing else that anyone could do except he had to work with her personally. And it took a very long time. It was like pulling teeth to get changes done in that office. Even price changes, because they sold at a very low price. It took forever for him to get prices bumped up to where they should be. It was a very hard store to deal with. So I don't know. He knew I was going to have a hard time with her, and he just took it out of my hands after seeing the way she was just turning her back on me. And I tried a few times, and she was just having none of it. I tried nice. I tried a little firmer. And I tried talking to her back even, and nothing, you know. So he just pulled me out of there and had me doing other stuff. So, I mean, what do you do? What do you do with somebody like that?
Yeah, I kind of want to take that question and post it out to everybody else in there. What do you do with a person like that?
What can you really do? I mean, if there's not really, like she said, how's she going to poke her back? I think the RD did their correct thing and step in and try to make things better and help her and help her as well.
Right. Now, that was when Connect was first acquiring stores, actually. And I think now, today, something like that, I think you're expected to either train and change or you're let go. You know, the new stores the new businesses that Connect acquires. You either change or you're gone. You know, employees that they're existing employees. They let them go if they can't change and accept the way things are, or they quit. You're expected to do it this way. This is the new company way, and you're expected to change and do things this way, or you can quit, or we're going to let you go, is the way it is. So, you know, that was kind of a different situation. That was when Connect was first coming in and acquiring these stores and applying these changes. So, I don't know, it's different now. She is still with the company.
You get along with her now?
Yeah, I do. I talk to her every once in a while. Yeah. They went through quite a few changes with the H. The owner actually stayed on and then ended up leaving, which was surprising. The company who had been together for a very long time, and all the employees and all. And, very surprising she stayed without him, but yeah, she's great now. I don't know. I think
it may have been
the whole. I think it was just the whole
of the, you know, of the owner. Like, we're not going to do it this way, and he's going to back me up. It may have given her some strength, you know, like, okay, well, we're both not going to do it.
Yeah, but, you know, he was older too, and you'd think he'd know, you know, okay, it's not my company anymore, and we do have to accept these changes. You would think that, you know, he'd know there's going to be changes that have to happen. So, I don't know. But it wasn't even drastic changes. It was little changes, you know, at the beginning. There was nothing even drastic happened, really, until a year and a half ago. Because I've been with the company for years and years and years, and there was really no, and they bought us like close to 4 years ago, I think. And there were really no drastic changes happened until like a year and a half or so ago. So, I mean, it really wasn't that bad changes, that many changes that happened for a long time. So, I don't know. It was just weird. Resentful maybe that he even sold. I don't know what it was, you know, or that changes even had to be made.
Well, I think the key thing to take away from your story is noting that when it did need to get to that coercive style of leadership, that you deferred to your RD. When you, as in seniors, are out in the field, at your disposal, you probably want to use the 5 others at most. They give you the best chance in order to make a positive impact on the situation at hand. The coercion one, it's a little mean. And the big thing to remember is that, I mean, we're not their boss. Unfortunately, fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it. You're there to help, act as a mentor and a friend. And if you have that conversation on a repeated attempt, it can really destroy trust. And that's something that we want to avoid, because you need to be the go-to people.
Mm-hmm.
So how was the quiz? Was it good? Bad?
It was good. Made you think.
Okay.
A couple of questions in there took me a while. I had to skip down and go back and keep thinking about a couple of them. I don't know, two of them that were in the middle.
Yeah, it was very educational.
Mm-hmm.
That was the big thing that I was trying to go for with this one here. Not the educational sense, but that you'd get something out of it. And it seemed to be the best thing that would tie into what we've been looking at and give you kind of more of a personal assessment, at least, on where you stand as far as a lot of your viewpoints and management style go.
Yeah.
So hopefully it helped kind of solidify things afterwards. If you went back to the article and read about what the different terms were. I know there's not a whole lot in this one, but what's one that you think is your best, the best one that you can present to your team? Like of these six, we talked about one not wanting to use. So of the five, the authoritative, affiliative, democratic pace setting, and coaching, which one do you think would be the best one for you to really work on to help your team?
Coaching.
Coaching's a big one. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious.
I like pace setter too. I do as I do. Or no, that's visionary. No, visionary is come with me, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting them mixed up?
I mean, the reason why I'm trying to bring this up is these are all fluid. You're going to be using all six of these, most likely. Hopefully four more than other two. But you need to have a sense of being able to apply these different techniques into your style of leading. So the same thing with the instructional strategies that we covered. There are those 6 strategies that were on there, and depending on which situation fits your trainee the best, you need to be able to adapt to that situation. I feel like I'm completely stating the obvious here, but that's okay. But
Sorry,
I'm glad.
back. Sorry, I had to take care of a patient.
We're all here just waiting very patiently and quietly for you to come back.
No. It was quiet when I came back on the line, so I didn't know what was going on.
All right. Any final comments, questions about the quiz or the Leadership That Gets Results article?
Not really.
Okay.
That's
good.
Anyone else?
All right, so let's get out of that and then move on to the SOPs. Before I start in this, everyone did have a chance to review all of these SOPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanting to check and make sure. So how this works is kind of, I mean, it's going to be very different from the way that we've done the 2 sessions prior, because I did a lot of talking in those. In this one, you're going to do a lot of talking because you're the resident experts on it, and I'm not going to teach you what you already know. But we're looking at taking these instances and then applying those out to different scenarios. So if a new PCC is running into issues following appointment booking the way that it's supposed to be done, for example, you need to be able to teach them the right way to do it and how to avoid the wrong way of doing it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
And again, I'll be back.
Okay. What questions do you have on the SOPs? Did anything come up while you were reading them where you're like, this doesn't quite make sense, or I do it a different way, something like that? Cool. That's good to know. We're all on the same page.
The SOPs.
Oh, that just sounds so bad.
Well, they're just what they are.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, instead of being 10
just remember
pages,
you're being recorded. I'm teasing.
Instead of being 10 pages, they can be 2 pages. Come on.
I can see that.
That's all I have to say.
So, why do you think that they're 10 pages long instead of being 2 pages long?
I know, because they're SOPs for dummies.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
I
Not
know.
for dummies, but, I mean, so somebody like me could walk out in the clinic
yellow
and be
books. The yellow dummy books.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they need to make, an SOP dummy book for Connect, only instead of green, make it yellow like all the dummy books are.
Yeah, and it's huge to remember that when we look at these, because we spent so much time in them, it's so incredibly simple of like, I don't understand this. Just give me the process and just let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we do need to placate the lowest common denominator when it comes to these.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you all know this. Don't worry. I'm reiterating. I'm probably telling you everything else you've already heard before, but we do have them like that for a reason. I got to stick up for my SOPs,
No, it's fine, and it's fine because I'm having to do calendar reviews now, so
yeah,
it's kind of helped on a couple things. Heather caught a few things that I wasn't catching on calendar reviews, so it's kind of made me think, oh God, I didn't even think to look for that. So, it's making me go back and read some SOPs. I have to.
So I want to talk about that. And that's kind of the number one here for the scenarios that I wanted to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're going to take the SOPs that you reviewed and then based on that information, apply it to the scenarios and then figure out how we would teach a new PCC or somebody who is performing these actions incorrectly the right way to do them. And in a good way. So we're using the stuff that we talked about earlier in the meeting and the instructional strategies that we talked about prior, along with all the other leadership stuff that we've done. So trying to build a nice, big, huge, tasty sandwich here. Everything goes together. So before I completely forget what I was talking about, why don't you tell me about your calendar management stuff? What have you been doing?
Well, I have to do it all. Go through toward the end of the week. You go through the next week and you check and see if the appointments are scheduled properly, like fine-tuned versus hearing aid checks. I mean, you have to go in and look at every appointment. You have to see if it's just a hearing aid check versus a audio 3 or eval. You go in and check the purchase date. sometimes the hearing aid's not even in there. There's a clinic that has a big chunk of files that has to be entered in there. And a bunch of charts that need to be entered in their office. So you go in and check, and they've got 3-year audio scheduled, but there's no hearing aid info. So you have to make them. You literally have to email them and tell them you need to put their hearing aid info in for these patients. You look at the referral sources to make sure they're correct. You have to put as many notes, make sure they're putting correct notes in or enough notes to make it understandable so that the HCP knows what the appointment's going to be about. You look for 15-minute gaps in the schedule. You make sure schedule blocks are on every day. And we just had in a meeting today, PCC meeting, that there should be the PCC's yes or no put on every day on the schedule. So it's a lot. I mean, and it's time consuming. You do this every week.
So throwing this out to the rest of the group, because there's a lot that you covered there. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Who else is having a workload similar to that?
In Region 102, we kind of all break it up. Like one person checks appointments. I do all the insurance. Somebody else is doing 2-week trials. Somebody else is doing inventory. So between the 5 of us, we all have one thing we're checking.
Okay. You there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, I heard a click. I thought I got disconnected.
No, I was just trying to give an opportunity for other people to talk if they're on the call.
I'm actually taking notes, so I know exactly.
Right? Oh. One person talk.
Go ahead. Okay. Well, now what I was saying is, like, since I'm fairly new, even for the training and stuff, I'm actually taking notes. So, I mean, I know to look for, to make sure that the trials are follow-ups and all that. But all the things that she brought up, I was maybe not looking for all that, and that just makes so much sense so it could run better.
Yeah.
And somebody else wanted to add on?
You also have to make sure the appointments are in the right spots. You know, you have your half-hour check appointments grouped together, you know. You only want them in certain spots. They don't want too many on the schedule per day.
Yeah.
Busy offices, it's very hard to. And some offices like to do a lot of checkups. I like to check on those new hearing aids every 2 months, every 4 months, and every 6 months. And they have a lot of checkups. It's hard. It's yeah. And lunches, those busy offices, they don't even put lunches in, so you got to get on them. You have to make sure there's lunches every day.
So I'm curious to know, what are some ideas that you have as far as training people to make sure that those things don't end up being a thorn in your side? How do you make sure that when you actually just go and look at these things, they're done correctly?
You know, I actually have a list. Lori Galen sent me a list. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm not really needing it. But every PCC meeting we have every week, it seems like there's something to add to it. It's like, oh my God. But it's funny, Heather, our RD, still looks over the calendar and will still find stuff So it's like there's three of us looking over the calendar, and if something is consistent, people consistently do, then it's added to the list. Just something else to do. That's how, this list is getting longer and longer. It's like, oh. But it's these things that are added to the list are brought up and talked about at the PCC meeting and brought out and told then. I think I forget what today's meeting was, something. Let me look real quick. The PCC, yes or no, should be put on every day. That was brought up because there was a lot that hadn't been on the schedule. Those need to be on every day on the schedule. And also the blocks. If you're off that day, the HCP is off, do not take the blocks off, just stuff like that. So it's just something else to look for. But those were consistent things that were happening, so they're just added to the calendar review list. It just grows every week. I think it's over a page now.
Would you be able to send me a copy of that?
Yeah, I will.
Thanks.
Sure.
I think it'd be something that'd be worth sharing with everybody.
Okay. Yep. I will do that.
So, as you can hear, we have a page-long thing of calendar items and other issues that aren't going correctly. I mean, what can we do as seniors in order to stem that behavior, to keep those incidents to a minimum?
Come up with a checklist of some kind.
That's a fantastic idea.
Hello?
You're still here. There's a random click that's going on in the background.
Okay.
What else do you think you might be able to do? Chances are you're probably doing some stuff right now. I'm just curious in polling to see what you all have been working on.
That's kind of what I did. I audit all the insurance claims for the region, and when I first started, I sent an email out with every single step that needs to be on there, what needs to be written, blah, 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 blah. And then I send emails when it's not right, and then sometimes if you've got somebody who's doing it again and again and again wrong, when they do get it right, I've sent them emails like, great job. And it's getting better, but it's been a fight for a while.
Yeah, that's a huge one, sending emails. I mean, it's something that we do every single day that I don't think we give it as much value as we should. It's a really, really great tool that we can use that's quick and efficient, and can go a lot further than some other aspects like picking up the phone and calling somebody. Or, now what else could you do?
It also gives you backup. I mean, not like you really need it, but if you have to have it and say, well, I emailed about this 3 times, whatever. But you've got all of the emails there if there's any question about it.
That is very true. Again, hopefully something that you never need to actually have to resort to, but good to know that you have. So how about those weekly calls? I mean,
What was that?
who else has been? What about the weekly calls? Who else has been using those? Or weekly emails, anything like that? Are you sending anything out to the entire group?
I know Gracie is sending one out on Monday mornings. I'm just recently new to becoming a senior PCC, but I see that Suzanne Weinberg sends out emails about being in compliance with our POEs, and then Gracie sends out one on Monday morning, kind of briefing us on the weekly action list.
I've been sending them out on Friday for like the past 3 weeks.
How's that been going?
It's been going good. You do get some feedback, but for the most part, I just want them to know that, we're out here to help them. And for example, I believe last week the evals were just a little slow, and just praise what we're doing good so far, and then just added a little input on what we could do if we need to change it up. And yeah, I had a couple of people respond. So at least I know that they're out there listening, or that they know that I'm here to help.
That's huge. Has anyone made any visits to a clinic in person to talk with a PCC yet?
No.
I did last October.
Yeah?
I mean, it was kind of, Teresa had me go down to Virginia Beach to help them, show them how I make the RPOE calls and stuff like that. I was at, I think, 2 or 3 offices down there.
So what were some of the things you were doing with the calls?
Pretty much.
Tell me about your experience.
A lot of people have a hard time with the calls because they feel like they're selling, and I make a real point of not mentioning it's pretty much just you're coming in for an annual hearing check or a free hearing test or whatever, and not mentioning the 2-week trial or anything unless I have to. The big thing is I'm scheduling them. Once they get in here, they can talk to them about all of that, but you don't have to feel like you're selling it right there. They were just getting all nervous and fumbling over words and everything because they were like, we have a 2-week trial on blah, blah, and then everybody was like, no, I'm not going to buy hearing aids, and hanging up on them. So it was stuff like that. And the other thing is meeting them in person. I have a better relationship with them. When I email them back and forth and everything like that, it's not easier, but it's just, each other. You have a face to a name and all of that.
That's something important that I want to make sure that I kind of distinguish for now is knowing that you do have the availability to go to clinics and meet the PCCs and HCPs that are there and develop a relationship with them in a face-to-face aspect as opposed to just having to use the telephone or email in order to reach out to them. Take advantage of it. It's a lot easier to start establishing a good working relationship with somebody when you can meet with them in person. Although you all have been very, very cordial with me so far, and we've only talked over the phone, so I feel like I've been pretty lucky to this point. But it's hard. The situation that you're in trying to act as a trainer and a mentor to people who are remote from you, that you're not seeing on a day-to-day basis in order to really establish a repertoire with them, and they're getting weekly emails from this person who they have no face attached to it saying you need to start doing this right and this right and this right and this right because you're doing it wrong. That can come off as being abrasive. That can be one of those coercive leadership traits that we talked about earlier. So how might you try and work around that aspect of the coerciveness and get into more of a coaching strategy when you're sending out those types of training opportunities?
Well, just like somebody said earlier, they tell them what they're doing right. So you know, it's not that you're just out to tell them like you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. You go out and you tell them, okay, you're doing this right now. We just got to work on getting this done right. At least so we could all get to the same point where the whole company is doing it this way. You don't want to be getting those emails where, you know, they're going to be coming down on us and we're not doing this right as a whole. So just telling them what they are doing right and let them know that, you know, you are kind and you've been there before and you want to be a help and not somebody who's always telling them like, no, this isn't the way it's done.
What about some other ideas?
Just take that with her tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, take two. Take two.
Nobody else has got a guess on how else you can send out some positive communication? Okay. I encourage you to think about that one for a little bit. I know that it's a tough question, especially something to come up with just on the fly of, oh yeah, I could definitely do this and it's going to work perfectly. But in the method that we have available to us in order to really establish ourselves as a leader in our area, we need to be able to really try and develop some good practices to throw out that we can use. But like I said, I know that it's challenging. It's not something that we can come up with right off the top of our head. So maybe we'll table that and see if we can think of something for next time. Let's take a look at another one of these scenarios here. How about coaching on the Refer a Friend program? This is number 3 on the email that we have up on the screen right now. Take a second and read it and see if you have a good answer to how to coach out of this situation.
You know, you have to act and be excited about something. You know, if he's got a pessimistic attitude as it is, then it's going to come across that way. But if you can act excited about it, the customer's going to be excited about it. So I think, you know, it seems like he's not into it. So I think he's got a negativity about himself. So when he approaches people about it, he's not got any excitement about it. And I mean, we have very few of them come back, but we have people take them gladly. But we don't get much back from it. But, you know, we're excited about it. I mean, here, you get a free meal. Come on, you know. They lay it down somewhere and forget about it. But still, you know, you have to act excited about it to get anything from it or to even get it in someone's hand. I just think he's got a bad attitude from the start. So.
I can definitely see that. What about some other ideas? How would you help this PCC with the Refer a Friend program?
Well, this is Valerie. I've been kind of in and out because I've been busy with patients. But with the Refer a Friend, I try to let people know too, and I would let the PCC that has trouble with it know, you can actually try to sell it as free Christmas gifts. If they start getting the Connect Hearing gift cards, well, the Refer a Friend gift cards now, that by Christmas time, if they refer people in, they'll have a bunch of $15 gift cards to give out as Christmas presents so they didn't have to put any money out for. And also they're helping someone to hear better for the Christmas holidays with their family. Something like that,
I like that idea.
A win-win situation is what I tell them. It's a win-win. You get free Christmas gifts to give out, and somebody can help hear the family better for Christmas.
Well, here in our office, we give out a lot. But like somebody said, not everybody responds to them. But even if you give out 20 and one of those people come in and take the test, chances are, they did need that help, and it will turn into a sale. So, everybody's happy. The person gets the free meal or a free card, and we get a new customer.
Well, I also tell them if they don't want to take one of the buck slips, I also tell them, even if you refer someone, you can always just tell them that you referred them over to us. Just tell them your name, that you referred us, and we can contact you to see which gift cards you'd like. Because some people don't want to take extra, pamphlets and stuff from an office.
Yeah, we got that a lot because it says that they get a $15 gift card, and they said, I don't want my friend thinking I'm doing this just to get, a gift card. And I said, just tell them to say that, you told them to come, and I'll call you, and you don't even have to say anything about it. So we've done that a lot too.
Or invite them to go to lunch or coffee, wherever.
So those are some pretty great ideas. I really like them, and good strategies in order to really get the Refer a Friend moving. How do you work to get that struggling PCC to buy in on those ideas?
Remind them of the good that we do in the world by helping people to hear, and how they should be proud of that, and help more people by doing the oldest advertising in the world. Refer a Friend is basically advertising by mouth and spreading the word. The oldest form of advertising.
That's awesome.
I like it. Any other ideas?
Word of mouth. It's the Connect way.
The biggest thing that I'd probably try and point out in this is chances are the person wasn't that way all the time. If they're a PCC that's been around for a bit and you notice that all of a sudden they're starting to act like this, try and figure out what's going on. And there's only so much that you can do. But if it's something that's work-related, and really try and see what you can do to help the situation. It's a good teaching, it's a good mentoring portion for where you could say, hey, I'm here for you. Let's figure out what we need to do to get you back to where you were. And it's a lot easier having it come from a colleague as opposed to their boss. So we'd want to nip this in the bud prior to it getting to an RD distraction.
maybe they just need to vent some personal issues with you for a minute and then feel better about everything.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. It could be that they're having issues with the HCP. There's something going on in the office.
Or conflicts with their HCP.
Yeah. And there are little things like that that you wouldn't know unless you asked. Unless you need to have a proactive stance with this. Try and be figuring out what's going on. What can I do to help you perform better in what you're doing? We can't have a reactive situation. All of these situations that are here are reactive. We already waited too long, and all of a sudden there's a problem that's manifested, and now it's going, all right, well, what can I do to fix it? But instead, we should be looking at what can I do to fix it before it's broken. So by setting yourself up as being that level of person, to where if there's something that's going on, you are a person that can be talked with. Ooh. Okay. It always kind of creeps me out a little bit when I hear my own voice come back at me.
Yeah.
That's really the big thing that you want to be looking for in this. Establish that personal relationship in order to figure out how you can fix an issue before it becomes one. And who knows, maybe they're just having a bad day, and that's all that it was. You happen to show up on a day, and kids were running late for school, breakfast burnt, got a flat tire on the way to work, and it's just, sorry, I'm just having a bad day. This is not who I normally am. And it's good to know. Because if it turns into a trend, that's when we get worried. We don't want these to be trends. If they're one-off incidents, like the calendar management, if the 15-minute gaps. If for some reason you see that happen once on a calendar, should you immediately get hunkered down and going, oh my God, are you okay? Is everything all right? Is there anything I can do to help you? Just the quick, hey, notice this happened. Not a big deal. Just don't let it happen again. In trying to manage that sense of expectation in how hard you need to work at trying to fix a particular issue. All right. So before I stop recording, because we have 3 minutes left, what questions do you have on what we covered? I guess I get an A+. Okay. Next thing, 2 questions for you, and I'm going to be stealing these 2 same questions like I always do. But did you find this session beneficial?
Sure.
Ooh, that's not good.
No, it wasn't.
It was. No, really, it was.
And would you want to do this again?
Yes. Is that better?
Yes, I think so. I think it's good. I mean, it's sometimes hard if you're the PCC. You have to stop for patients and stuff, but it's a good thing.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording now. Don't hang up. Don't go anywhere yet. Just stop recording.